Good day, guys. Welcome to Kizzito Talk Show, episode 1. And my guest here, we have Mr. CY, the head of operation and lead software engineer of Pura Code Academy. Welcome, sir. And we have Mr. Samuel, the CEO of Osco Academy. Welcome, sir. So, here we go. The first question is, in 5 minutes, can you just tell us more about tech, Mr. CY?
All right. Thank you very much for having me here. What Kizzito said, my name is Cyril. I'm head of operations at Pura Code Academy, a prestigious academy. I'm also a software engineer with a couple of years of experience and built complex platforms with for B2B and also for B2C, and I've also collaborated with a lot of experts in the industry. So basically, when we talk about tech, it's just a short word for technology. That is what it is, and it's not something that started today. The technology basically started, let me go down memory lane, 17th century. And back then in the 17th century, that was when the manufacturing industry started gaining traction. It was it superseded what was initially in existence, then it was agriculture. Right? So the British moved into manufacturing. Manufacturing in the sense that they started producing heavy duty machines and the like. So that is something, that's a trend that has been growing for ages, for centuries. So that trend evolved into the 18th century, the 19th century, when we start having hybrid computers, supercomputers that can provide digital solutions across all area of life, including personal lives as well, right? Now, down to this age, we now have the AI, the generative AI, right? So this is technology moving at a very faster pace and also affecting lives, right? And in its wake, it creates roadmaps for people who want to advance or diversify their career, right? It creates opportunity for you to be skilled in respective areas like data analytics, respective areas like programming, respective areas like in terms of management. Now we're talking about managing digital products and the likes. So basically, in a nutshell, that is what tech is all about.
All right. Thank you, Mr. CY. Please, Mr. Samuel, can you tell us more about tech?
Tech is just everything around us. It's just a better way of getting things done, right? And it cuts across everything. From, yes, now when we mention tech, people are more like, you have to have a laptop, doing one sweet work, look cool and all of that. But it goes beyond that. We're having a video now that's been shot. That's tech, right? The creating of the camera, the physics behind it, the lens, the ACs you use, that's tech. So for me, I see tech as a way of, hey, I need to get something done in a better and more efficient way. The solution to that is tech. That's just how I see it, right? Even in management, like what Mr. CY said, I have a company, I need to manage like 3,000 persons. How do I get to manage 3,000 persons? I need an effective way to track them across, to track different, let's say, milestones. How early do they come to work? Which of them are more efficient? How do we even judge their work? How do I know who is more proficient at the tasks? How do I know who's just wasting company resources? The only way to get that kind of thing done is tech. You have to develop this. So I see tech as it's just a way to get things done faster and more efficient.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. So, Mr. Siwe, during moving into tech, what was it like during your learning days?
Okay, thank you very much for that. So when we talk about learning in general, everybody can agree that learning is tasking, right? Especially if you want to learn something new or something as tasking as acquiring a tech skill, right? It means that you want to condition your body into an environment is not familiar. To because you learn, the entire faculty learns alongside with you. Now, for me, moving into tech was something I always wanted to do, right? In a very young age, right? I was still attracted to machineries, what make them tick, what make them work, what make them bring light, things like that. I know it was not a mystery behind it. There's something inside of it that has been programmed for it to function that way. That was what caught my curiosity in the first place. So then it was not should I say, a smooth sailing then, because we don't have a lot of tech institutes compared to what we have currently today that's scattered all over. So my best chance of learning then was leveraging on free resources I could pick up on YouTube, I could pick up from Google. So the challenge there was that these resources were not structured. As for a beginner, it was a very slippery slope for me, right? Especially if you have a lot of information around you that is not practically pointing you to a particular direction, right? So that was the pool I found myself in, right? But along the line, because I was determined, I kept on going, leveraging on those resources as best as I could. I filtered those resources as best as I could to get what I want, right? So it was not an easy task for me. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I'm sorry I'm saying this on live TV, when I fully moved into learning how to write code, I never even had a laptop. Wow. So I had an 80 leaf, wow, an 80 leaf exercise book, and I had a very big Java textbook. So I was reading 2 textbooks, writing codes on an 80 leaf exercise book. As a matter of fact, before I got to test my first line of code, I've written close to 1,000. Wow. So when I tested it, out of that 1,000 lines of code, I bet you it was just 2 of them that ran. Right. So for most people, that would have been a form of discouragement for them, but I still kept pushing. So I got a monitor, started doing things better. So one thing the computer did for me, it made me better. It made me debug better. All right. So bringing it down to what we have currently, our society has actually evolved. Okay, and we're better informed now, and we have access to resources that can make us start well. So a lot of folks who want to go into tech now don't need to go via the route I went when I was learning. I am a self-taught. The advantage of being a self-taught is that it makes you rugged. That's one. It makes you fit into any system. It makes you solution-driven because you've walked through what works and what doesn't work. So you're an archive of knowledge. So basically that's just it. Right. So it wasn't fun, but I'm glad I kept it. I kept pushing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Siwai. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Samuel, do you have anything to say about this?
Okay, it's so funny that we have a similar story, right? I had always had interest in tech. I was built some things here and there. I had a particular passion that I could not explain to persons, and when I told the teachers that was teaching there, one of them said it's not possible. There was always this look of, are you okay? Because I had seen something about robotics where the brain could control a part of the body, right? Using computers and all that. So I was like, okay, I needed a field that made this medicine and engineering. It was war, right? It was war. So I think finally somebody heard me speaking somewhere and said, have you considered BCI? So like, okay, how do I get it? I found trying to get universities that were doing something similar. So my approach of just learning, in fact, because I said, okay, I wanted to do robotics. I searched and searched. This was 2016, 17. I searched and searched for an institute where I could learn robotics. In fact, then I was in school. I was willing to go and do cleaner work there. I would just be spying small, be learning small, right? We had, they do this electrical engineering stuff. So I saw some of the things they did, some circuits they built. But I was not seeing anything moving. It was just light, signals. What is going? Nothing is moving here. Right? I'm not seeing any robot. So mine was robotics is even more complex because you can read 1,000 articles. Sometimes I tell myself, you can read 1,000 articles. You can watch 10 million videos on how to build a drone, how to build If you have not built it, you have not built it. You have not built it, you've not built it. So it was hectic because number one, there was no place. I'd searched everywhere. There was no place 2017 where you could learn robotics in Nigeria. Right? So I was reading, doing self-taught, reading a lot of articles, reading this, and it kept getting more fascinating because I think I saw a particular article then that was even made me lose my mind. That the phone I was using was more powerful than the computer that took the first man to the moon. I said, no, there's something this phone knows that makes them create almost magic, impossible tasks.
Yes, yes.
You can't tell me it's a computer we're using, they're using. So I always wanted to know what made these things work, right? Lucky enough, and the problem with learning via YouTube and some of this route, which is beautiful, is some of the tools and resources expect you to have known some things. You let them say things and you're wondering, so you pause the training, what is this one that they said? After you go and learn that one will take you down another rabbit hole before you come back to the. So it was a very lengthy process, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun. I can say it's fun. I can look back to it and it's fun.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. With what you just said now, I think I have a wonderful question to ask. Now, during those time of your startup in tech, what do you think is the hardest and the easiest? You can also answer, Mr. Siwai.
Okay. So if I get you correctly,
Yeah.
I think what you need clarification for is in terms of the various skills that are out there, which is much more easier to pick up, to learn, and which demands a lot. Now, for me, saying something is difficult or something is easy is relative, especially in this industry of ours. There are people whereby what gives them joy is when they write code. If they don't write code, they don't feel alive. Okay, so that's what drives them. While for some, the mention of arithmetics drives them down the cliff and all of that. Right now, I wouldn't say this particular skill is more difficult than the other one, because they all work together, pari passu, right? So one is dependent on the other to actually function, right? So if you want to build an enterprise application, for instance, you'll be needing the services of a product manager. You'll also be needing the services of a designer as well. In this regard, a product designer. And you also be needing the services of a software engineer, even a software architect as well, right? Now, all of these guys make up the software development life cycle. Okay, so most times there's this narrative out there whereby when people see a digital product out there, the first set of people they give kudos to are the developers, right? So it is understandable that they handle bulk of the technicality involved, right? But they are not the only person, the only people, or the only person that brought this particular product to life. The reason why they appreciate the product that is out there is not just the work of the developer alone. Okay, it's a collective effort. The product manager puts in his very best. The product designer puts in his very best. The developer also did his job. The testers, right? Because if you want to build something that would scale globally, you have to be assured that there's data security in it and all of that. So those guys also are very, very important, right? The cybersecurity engineers are also very, very important. So these are people that provide security at every data entry and exit point. So it's a collective responsibility, right? So while you are aspiring to become a product designer, and while you're aspiring to become a product a software engineer in this instance, okay, for me, I would say, if something no longer challenges me, it's no longer fun, and I have this mentality that I'm no longer learning. So even if you are a product designer, you're not writing code, it doesn't mean that what you're doing has no impact, and it doesn't mean that what you're doing is what every Tom, Dick, and Maria can pick up and do. As a product designer, you also have to be creative, and that's a whole lot of work. It takes a whole lot of mental work to be creative, to come up with initiative or to come up with something new, something that is not in the space, to actually advance a brand. So that in its own, in quotes, is a difficulty for that particular skill or for that particular niche. A software engineer can have 5-6 years experience in writing code, but that does not mean that he can manage a team. That doesn't mean that he can manage a product. That doesn't mean that he can actually scale a product. Okay, so code. It doesn't really work that way. It only takes a developer with years of experience in the industry, who have worked with different set of technologies, who have worked with different set of teams, both corporate and individual, to also play that role. Okay, but regardless, he cannot do it better than the product manager. All right. So when it comes to the area of hardware, because we also have IoT. IoT is a branch that has to do with a collaboration between hardware and software.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is a different ballgame of its own. All right. So it takes somebody who has a background in software and somebody who has a background in hardware to fully function in that role. So these roles are not rocket science, okay? And most times to pick them up to learn, you basically don't need to have a background in tech. We've had situations whereby people who read psychology in school, people who read even Yoruba as a language in school, pick up tech skills to learn. They pick up data analysis to learn. They pick up cybersecurity to learn. As a matter of fact, there's this lady in the movie industry, I think her name is Bookie Wright, okay? Bookie Wright has fully transitioned into the data space.
Wow.
All right, so this is somebody that does not have a technical background, but because of the way technology has really grown, right, with the type of infrastructure it has put out there, it now made it easy for people to pick up anything that drives their interest and start developing themselves in it. So for me, difficulty, like I said, and simplicity are relative in the tech space. It's what works for you that really matters.
Thank you, Mr. Siwai.
I completely agree with Mr. Siwai on that, right? However, I will come from a different point, which is there's something I call, it's my own word, it's something I use a lot. So I've not really gone to do due diligence to check if it's a word in the dictionary or anything, but I call it pain threshold, right? And reward time, right? So while Mr. Siwa is very correct, there are still some fields that have a higher pain threshold and longer reward time. What do I mean? For somebody who is into the time it takes for you to put up for somebody to get reinforcement, say you learn something and you're seeing something reasonable. For somebody who is playing in the space of, let's say, like front end or UI UX, it's much easier, right? It's much faster because whatever you do, you're seeing the results and all of that, you just in the system. There are somebody who might be playing in something like the cybersecurity space.
Wow.
Because cybersecurity, you need to first start learning about being proficient in command line. You are going to be using a whole new different like operating system, your Kali or Parrot or whatever it is, right? Now, so going to the place of simplicity and relativity, there are certain persons who want it that way. There are people who love the complex stuff. For example, I see graphics design as very difficult. And when I speak with designers, they're like, man, you they do the one way hard. Our own easy, but I see graphics design as very difficult, right? I still see there's a part of tech that I will not thrive well in because I need to think hard. I need to see robots. I need to do I need to, right? So why that is the case, but there are still some fields for people going out there, and it's not in a way to tell you this or that, or choose this, choose that. The thing is, whatever field you are going to, there's a lot of amazing opportunities there. And one key thing to it is interest. Once you start a skill and you can build interest in it, you'll be so amazed how easy it is to start going deeper. Now, when I say easy, there is a catch to it. It's not easy in the sense of easy, but let me use a different analogy. You've seen some kids who their parents say don't do well in school. This one I'll load this in the quote and unquote, right? But you see some of them, if they discuss football for you, if they call the names of players, if they do analysis for you, you'll be, even a business analyst will sit down and like, what is going on here? So it's the interest. So when you want to get into tech, right, what part interests you? I'm beautiful that tech is everything around you, is everywhere around you. What part interests you? What part do you want to do that self-discovery and you go into it? You'll be so amazed that in a short time you are seeing some beautiful things. Even the one that has a longer pain threshold, that if you take a longer time to start seeing some significant result, you tend to enjoy the process, which now takes to the next thing, which is it's a process. It's not just an end product, it's a process. Your journey is a process, and But we can have a whole section on it alone.
Okay, from the pain threshold, like what you rightly said, I think it's something that is applicable everywhere, not just tech. Okay, if you ever sat down and observe a sculptor who does his thing, right, the level of patience and paying attention to detail in his thing, that takes a whole lot. Even the photographer also goes through that pain threshold, right? So you want to make sure that the shots that you take are outstanding. You want to ensure that everything is in the right place. The light is perfect. The background is perfect. Things like that, right? Even a writer also goes through that. Right? Writer, you want to write something that can actually appeal to people's sense of reasoning, to people's sense of approach to life, people's perspective. So pain threshold is everywhere. Like what you rightly said is interest. Okay, if you're interested if you have interest today and say, okay, I want to build it, I want to build a plane. In as much as the infrastructure is there, you can actually do it.
Yes.
All right. So I believe so much in the human spirit and also in the human capacity.
Exactly.
And I believe that, and I also know that as humans we underutilize those capabilities.
Very true.
Okay, so it's hard time we start putting into work. So pain threshold actually.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Sam. Thank you, Mr. CY. So, what do you think? Lastly, before we round off, so what do you think is the must know for people out there? Those people that don't have jobs or don't have any work, but they want to enroll themselves into tech. So, what do you think is the must know for them to understand? Things that they must know.
Okay, that's a fine question. A number of things. In fact, there must know is plenty, right? But I'm going to just drop it in bullet points. Number one, it's not as hard as you think it is.
Okay.
Right? There's this feeling that people who are into tech, they are the way it's portrayed in the movies. There are a set of people that they are kids, they know book, their head is hot, right? It's not really like that, right? It's not really like that. You can get into it. One. Two, is learn to, while you are going into it, stay, right? Stay. So it's not just something that you get in, know what you really want. Once you get in, it's not the one you just go in, you jump out, and all of that. Yes, there's a part of discovery because many people who start in one, it even blends to the next thing. Many people who start in one career, many times do not end in that part, right? So just keep growing, just keep learning, keep developing yourself, and keep getting better. Keep getting better is what sets you apart, right? When you are coming into tech and whatever industry you are in, right? Just keep getting better, keep innovating, and I think you're on your way to
the top.
Okay. All right. So for me, there are a couple of steps you need to follow. The first thing you need to do is to come out of the noise. Tech is very noisy.
Very
noisy. So you have to come out of the noise as a beginner. When I mean coming out of the noise is going to a place that is quiet, right, and do a thorough assessment of who you are and where you feel you can actually fit in. That's the first one. So we have high technical skill you can learn, and we also have soft skill.
Beautiful.
So when I say soft skill, I'm talking about the one that does not require you having a background in programming or having a background in arithmetic, mathematics of the likes, right? Or having a background in systems and engineering and all of that. No. All right. So first and foremost, like I said, you need to identify what works for you. That's one. Once you do that, the next thing you need to do is start researching into what is out there versus what is accessible to you. Okay. So you look at your immediate environment. What sort of skill that are practically needed, that are sort of in demand currently, and you also look at what their availability or what their demand will look like 5 years from now, because that's when you can actually measure your progress and all of that, right? 5 years from now, will this set of skills still be available? Will they still have the type of demand that they have now, when it gets to that level, you need to also identify that. And the next thing you need to do after doing all of this is to enroll yourself in an academy. That is, if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why you're doing that is because an academy helps fast track the learning process for you. Right? It helps fast track it. So get yourself enrolled in an academy. Most of these academy have advisory sessions. They have advisory structure.
Very important.
So while you do a walk into their facility or you pick up the phone to make an inquiry, you at some point speak to somebody who is an expert in this, who can actually counsel you into making the best decision for yourself regarding what you want to learn. So that is also important. So while you look towards enrolling for an academy, you also need to keep up with the trend. Like I said, it's very noisy. It's moving at a very fast pace rather. So it means that you need to join communities. So when I'm talking about communities, I'm not talking about anyhow communities. I'm talking about active communities related to what you want to do. So you're joining those communities to keep yourself updated, to know what is in vogue. Okay, so for the fact that somebody close to you the person made his first 1 million after 5 years, 10 years in tech, that doesn't mean your roadmap should be the same thing.
Exactly.
No, it shouldn't. So if you're better informed, it helps you make better decisions, right? That is also why the community is important. Lastly, have a clear and concise roadmap for your learning. Somebody wants to go into product design, can have a roadmap that says, okay, 1 year, 2 years into the design, I want to look at software development. Okay, that's programming or web development. So that's a roadmap. Because of the relationship between the two of them, it is easier for you to expand your horizon or transition into that space. Okay, so that is also important as well. Have a much more clear roadmap. And lastly, like what Mr. Sam said, you have to be determined. You have to be prepared for challenges. They would come. Nothing good comes easy, right? And when you're adding value to yourself, it becomes very tasking, right? So it also helps to redefine you. You learn and you unlearn, right? So that is a consciousness you have to work with. You have to go with while you are transitioning into that space.
You have to say that again. We're eating the table. You can get it.
Right. So so why you what did I say?
Yeah, fasting.
You have to be determined, because what Mr. Sam said, you have to be determined. Nothing good comes easy.
All right. So can I go on? Did you pause the video?
You can continue.
No, you can't continue.
Okay. So like what Mr. Sam said, you have to continue to strive. Okay, it's going to be a very challenging path, but that doesn't mean that you can't get to where you have projected yourself to be. Because people have actually walked through that path and they scaled, and you can also scale and scale smarter than them. Right? So it has to be a constant for you while you want to make while you want to transition into it. It has to be a constant. Challenges will come. Do not give up. Do whatever it takes to overcome them, and also for those who don't have what it takes to enroll for an academy, because I know questions like that will pop up. Yeah, like I said, the experience I had with working with free resources is that most times they don't point you into the direction that you want, but it is nothing compared to what it was when I was learning. So we have better platforms that can give you much clearer roadmaps. So why you want to look for, maybe get funds to enroll for an academy, you can rely on those resources. At least get yourself started, join communities and the likes. Right? So that is my advice for you. Thank you very much.
Then I think I also want to add to something you said, which is very, very important, because now, and this I'm saying now is directed to persons who are just looking into getting into tech. I'm not talking about for those who are already in the field now. There's a different advice for you, but for those who are looking at getting into tech now, one of the things he said is many institutes have advisory team. Try and reach out to an advisory team, right? Don't just go into tech because your friend, somebody said this is what he earns from tech. Don't make that mistake, because one of the things you do is when you start in, you hear somebody else will tell you, no, this one pays well. And especially if you ask any developer, anybody in tech, what do I learn? They will always recommend their own skill.
Yes.
They will always recommend what they are doing at the point in time. If you meet a data science analyst, he will tell you, there's money in data analysis, so do data analysis. You do like, if you meet a software developer, I will tell you, software. If you are not doing software, what are you, right? So, while you also reach out to an institute to understand, they will put you through, they'll advise you, and also know yourself. Try to do self-discovery so that when you are speaking with them, it becomes easier for them to point you to the right place to start. And once you start, you can just keep going up from there.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sam. Thank you, Mr. CY. I really
Thank you for
appreciate
having
the
us.
time you guys spent to come here and have this talk with us. God bless you all. So you out there, make sure you're following my Instagram handle at Kizzito. And make sure you're subscribing to my YouTube channel at Kizzito Developer. And you can just search Kizzito, you see there, Kizzito Developer. And wait for the episode 2 coming very fast. Thank you.